Okay, a few different things about fixing a piece of broken pottery or a piece of cracked pottery. Yesterday we went over how to burnish and how to burnish really delicately because you don't want to break your project. You don't want to rest it on, the neck like this, or it's gonna break. So I put this on the heater overnight to get it to dry out real quick, and I got a nice crack right on the project. Now, you guys don't want this to happen. I just wanted this to happen so that I could demonstrate to you how you can fix it. Oops, I'm gonna have to edit that. All right. Now, this pot that I was burnishing the other day, you're gonna find that when you feel your burnished pot, it's gonna be super smooth, but the shine is going to start to dull down a little bit. After it's fired, that will change. It's just because the water has left the piece of pottery. Some people will go in and burnish a little bit more, and like I said, we're gonna be doing that on our teapots because we want them to be as shiny as possible. This is more to strengthen the clay, so as long as you have a nice smooth surface, the clay is gonna feel a little bit stronger, and that's perfect. That's exactly what we want for our porcelain pieces. Now, I went in yesterday with my other block and showed them how to fix a piece of cracked pottery. Now, you can see where it was cracked because I was using porcelain slip on it, but you know what? That is okay. I'm gonna show you today how to fix a pot. So I need a nice clean break. Let's see, what's gonna do that? Ooh. Perfect. If for some reason your piece of pottery breaks and it's a really clean break where you can put it together and just see like that little seam, then we could go ahead and most likely fix it. And we're gonna do that with the magic of vinegar. Does this always work? No. Does it work a lot of the times? Yeah. Now, I don't want this to happen to anyone's projects. Treat these with care, like they're so delicate. So anything, that you would treat delicately. What you're gonna wanna do first is you're going to want to apply 2 coats of vinegar to both sides. What's happening is the acidity in the vinegar is reviving the clay. Now, it only revives it for no more than a minute, but it brings it back essentially to its original state. And vinegar works like this in pretty much like any natural form. So it'll dissolve dirt. And that's why people really tend to use vinegar as a cleaning product, because it is really great at breaking things down. You can use standard vinegar like this. It's like 99 cents at the store. You could use apple cider vinegar if you want. Either is fine. You're then gonna wanna go in and apply some little marks. In the clay. Yes.
my mom's work schedule got kind of crazy. One of their guys got pulled because of the pandemic. And I looked up what I could use instead of a stone online, and it said to use the back of a spoon, but it's leaving like this weird colored residue on my pot.
Yeah. The reason I gave you guys the little glass pieces was because sometimes if you use like a metal or like an actual rock, it'll rub some of the color from it off onto the clay. It should be fine. If you want to send me a picture of what it looks like, if not, if you like have any like rocks near your house and want to like try to find a smooth one and wash it off really well, you could try that too. I'm trying to think what else you could use. But yeah, really anything with like a rounded, smooth surface. Burnishing. Let me think on that. All right, so I did my little score marks, and you want to make sure that you do have your vinegar on both sides. And a little slip. I'm going to use the porcelain slip again because it's what I have here. But that slip's going to help get a bond. And because our clay was brought back to life, we could add a little bit of that on there. Sometimes I even like to make it a little bit more lively with some slip. Be very careful with the edges that were broken. And I'm going to very slowly compress together. And you want to find the right spot before you really start to set it. So you guys can see where the line was because it's pretty dark right now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and I'm going to blend really well with the vinegar. So I like to go in first with a paintbrush and really like liven up all the clay surrounding the area where it broke. And I'm really applying a bit of pressure, but at the same time you want to make sure that your pot is stabilized. I'm then going to go in and I'm going to use my finger and I'm going to try to work the clay just like I would if it was pretty much the same consistency as when you're building. And you might need to do this a few times. Now, after you do a repair process like this, you don't want it to dry out really quickly right away. The reason being is because you don't want clay in general to dry out super quick. So I always say to put a damp paper towel on it. You could see that the crack is pretty much repaired. Put a damp paper towel on it, let it dry out really slow. You could also go, I mean, this is a bowl for your vase. You're probably not gonna have to do both sides, but it would be the same exact thing, really like working the clay around it so that it comes back to life and we could use that. And then that's gonna become our slip that we could really push into that section. This is just a little trick in case you have any little accidents with your pottery. It works pretty well. If you don't have a clean break, it's difficult. But if you have just like a piece that came off, it's usually fine. Let me go grab another cup for some more vinegar because I don't want to put it on my porcelain piece. All right. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to handle your vase from like the top. You don't want to pick it up like that. I'm scared. So you don't want to pick it up like that. You don't want to move it all around. You want to treat it nice and delicate. Make sure that you're using your whole hand when you are doing anything to your vase. So I got this crack. I let my pottery dry out too quickly. Like I said, I put it on the heater overnight and it cracked. This might happen if it dries out too quickly, so I made it dry out too quickly. This poor piece of pottery has really been through it, guys. In order to fix a small crack, same exact technique, you want to really work the vinegar into the pot, and notice how I'm holding it in my whole hand so that I can apply a bit of pressure. So I'm really livening up all the clay. And if you guys feel that the crack in your vase is a little bigger, you can also mix in a little bit of slip with your vinegar if you feel like that's something you might need to do. But this is gonna revive the clay and then allow you to go in and really smooth it and try to repair that the best you can. So like I said, we could use a little bit of slip too if you still see the line and you wanna almost repair it very similar to how you would repair like a little like nail hole in the wall with spackle. You could add a little bit of clay on, but make sure you liven it up with vinegar so it matches the consistency of the pottery, and then blend that in. This might be a process that you guys have to do maybe like 2 times. But this is what's gonna help really bring your pottery back to life. Make sure to paint it up really neatly. And I'm just gonna kind of tap some slip into there and then smooth it lightly. So this is something we didn't get into so much yesterday. I went over it in my 4th block because I had a student whose vase broke and I was like, oh, better cover this. So that's how you would go ahead and repair a small crack or repair a broken piece of pottery. Remember that when you are burnishing, you want to have a really nice surface. You don't want to completely just like boom, rest your pottery on it. You still want to hold it. This is just going to kind of help you brace it a little bit so it's not going to be so aggressive burnishing it on a table surface. Okay? Pretty much the basics of attaching a piece back together. And if you guys have any questions on that, please send me like an image if your project does happen to get a crack in it or something. And if you're not sure how you should go about the process on your own, I kind of like walk you through it, all right?